Good morning and welcome back to the next in our series of Wednesday online reflections here at St. Anne's. And of course this week is very different as we are now well and truly into the thralls of Holy Week. As you know, tomorrow is Maundy Thursday when we'll have our Maundy Thursday communion service here in church, and you're most welcome to come along, book online and come along to that service. It'd be lovely to see you. But Maundy Thursday service is the start of a series of services that will take us through Good Friday and then on to Easter Sunday. I always find these services to be deeply moving and deeply challenging. You see, for me, Easter is the pinnacle of the Christian calendar. If you know me, you'll know that I absolutely love Christmas and everything that involves, all the services and everything that we do. I love it. But for me, Easter holds the place of most significance. Some of you will know that a number of years ago, I used to be quite actively involved in cycling. I used to road race and do time trials, and I loved cycling. But cycling is a hugely demanding sport, and it's one that involves a tremendous sacrifice on a personal level, which is one of the reasons why I had to give it up. I didn't have enough time to commit to it, really. Because in a sense, it's a very selfish sport. And it requires people who are involved in that, who want to take it seriously, to actually spend many hours on their own in the saddle. And also to spend lots of money on the latest kit to make sure that your bike is up to date with everything that it needs to be. But one of the things that I really enjoyed was racing. I loved road racing, the fun that was, and meeting the people and everything that went with that. But an element of racing was also time trialing. And this is where you basically race against yourself and against the clock on a set course of a set length, whatever that length might be. It could be a 10-mile time trial, a 25-mile, 50-mile, or 100-mile. And the idea is that you're trying to set the fastest time that you can. So in a sense, each week, you're actually racing against yourself to try and get a personal best, whilst also trying to win the overall event and beat the other competitors if you're good enough to do so. I've got to say, time trialing was never my greatest forte. And in the build-up to a time trial, I would actually get quite nervous. There'd be a sickly feeling that developed in the pit of my stomach. And the reason for that was a simple one: pain. You see, the thing with time trialing is that unless you are prepared to give it absolutely everything, 100%, the whole time, whatever the length that you're racing, that could be 25 minutes, that could be up to 4 or 5 hours, depending on the length of the race. But unless you're prepared to give it everything, then you're never going to beat your personal best and achieve your goals. And it requires absolute commitment, pushing yourself to the limit and beyond. And it requires knowingly putting yourself through that pain. There were a number of times that I was actually physically sick whilst riding the bike through sheer exertion. But I want to just go back to the very start of a time trial, to the start of that race. You see, there's a moment where you do your warm-ups, you do your preparation, you get everything ready, and then you get on your bike, and then you start a little ride to the starting line. And as you get to the starting line, your feet are clipped into the pedals, and then you ride up to this person called the starter, and they will literally hold the bike for you ready. And there's this 10-second countdown where you're being held. And in that moment, there's a pause. There's this stillness, and it's time to take a few deep breaths, time to prepare yourself for the hardship that lies ahead and for the pain that you know you're going to go through. And here in the passage that I'm going to share with you today, there's that similar feeling of pausing to take a breath before the hardship that Jesus is about to endure for each one of us. And that's also true of where we are today in Holy Week, Wednesday. Again, there's a moment where we pause to prepare for what lies ahead as we look to Maundy Thursday and Good Friday. And today I'm going to share with this amazing reading from Matthew 26. The plot to kill Jesus was thickening, and Jesus' time on earth was obviously drawing to an end. And so we pick it up in chapter 26 at verse 6, and then I'm going to read on to verse 13. Feel free to pause the video, feel free to go and get a Bible, but I'm going to read that with you now. So it's chapter 26, verses 6 to 13. While Jesus was still in Bethany, in the home of a man known as Simon the leper, a woman came to him with an alabaster jar of very expensive perfume, which she poured on his head as he was reclining at the table. When the disciples saw this, they were indignant. "Why this waste?" they asked. "This perfume could have been sold for a high price and the money given to the poor." Aware of this, Jesus said to them, "Why are you bothering this woman? She's done a beautiful thing to me. The poor you will always have with you, but you will not always have me. When she poured this perfume on my body, she did it to prepare me for burial. I tell you the truth, wherever this gospel is preached throughout the world, what she has done will also be told in memory of her." And here we are today, over 2,000 years later, and still talking about this woman who poured this expensive perfume over Jesus. And here in this passage, amongst the chaos of what's about to unfold, amongst the violence, the anger, and the fast pace of the next chapter in which Jesus is tried, beaten, and crucified, here in this moment we find a quiet pause. We find this act of kindness, this act of love, this devotion, and this beautiful act of generosity, as this woman pours the most expensive perfume over Jesus' head. And yet, even this loving and generous act is seen as chaotic, just as the donkey was, and the overturning of the tables that Jesus did. And let's be honest, it's not a normal thing, is it, to pour an expensive perfume over someone's head? And the disciples saw it, and they were angry about it. I suppose, just as in the turning of the tables, Jesus continues to provoke reactions amongst people. See, the priests were grumbling about him. The woman who is so generous towards him, but yet the disciples are angry about what they see. Different reactions happening. I wonder, what is your reaction to this scene? What do you think about this? What do you think about the woman and her actions? Do you secretly admire her for this most loving and generous act? Even if we're not sure that we ourselves could be so generous, do we secretly admire her for that? Or do we secretly side with the disciples who are angry with her? And they're angry because they feel that she's wasted really expensive perfume that could be given to the poor. The money could have been given. And they're asking, really, we need to be careful stewards of what we have. And we shouldn't go wasting valuable resources. But Jesus sees this particular lavish gift as a preparation for his burial, because he knows what is to come. And in the stillness of this moment, it points to Jesus' coming death. As we perhaps judge the others in this passage, and perhaps judge others full stop, because we do, I suppose we need to look at how Jesus reacts. We should not forget that Jesus continues to show concern and compassion. Despite being more and more consumed with the knowledge of what lies ahead for him in the next 24 hours, he continues to show love, mercy, and compassion. I'm reminded of one of my favourite hymns that we'll be singing over the next couple of days, and the words are deeply moving. I'm sure you know it well. When I survey the wondrous cross on which the Prince of Glory died, my richest gain I count but loss, and pour contempt on all my pride. Were the whole realm of nature mine, that were an offering far too small. Love so amazing, so divine, demands my soul, my life, my all. Let's just reflect on those words in a moment of quiet as we prepare ourselves for the next few days that lie ahead. And let's just pray together. Lord, on this Wednesday, before Maundy Thursday, help us to pause, to reflect, and in the stillness, draw close to you. Lord, like the lady in this passage, would you give us a generous heart? And would you fill us with your compassion, with your love, as we reach out to others? And so would you use us to make a difference, that your name might be preached? And we ask this in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. As I said right at the beginning of this short reflection, if you're able to, do join us tomorrow at church. Do book online for the 7 p.m. Maundy Thursday communion. And don't forget, we have Good Friday. We've got 2 services on Good Friday. We've got a 10:30 all-age service, and then we've got a 2 p.m. Last hour at the cross, which is always a very moving, quiet, reflective service. Again, do book online if you'd like to come to any of those. And then finally, on Easter Sunday, we have a 10:30 Easter celebration. We'd love to see you there. That service will be live streamed. And in the meantime, from the 1st to the 4th of April, we have our Easter Trail. There are clues around the church grounds and a little around the block of church, basically. Little things for you to do with family and little clues for you to find. And if you do a good job and you bring those to church and you show us, you might well get a goodie bag. So hopefully you can join in that. Do email me if you'd like to find out more about that. But until then, God bless, and I'll see you soon.